Let's review the July 29th Saturday episode of AEW Collision. The show starts off with the usual hype packages, including for the main event, which is MJF and Adam Cole challenging for the AEW World Tag Team titles from FTR. The show starts off with a ladder match, Andrade Almas versus Buddy Matthews, who's accompanied by Julia Hart. What's on top above the ring dangling is a black mask. Perhaps I haven't really been following the story, but I didn't quite get that. What really the mask represented. Maybe they should have done more of an introduction of its history, like maybe they should have had a video package building up to the match right before the match started. I feel like this was a missed opportunity. Nonetheless, this was an entertaining opening match. One of my favorite spots was when Andrade was running towards Buddy Matthews, who's on one side of the ring, on one corner on the turnbuckles, and then he throws the ladder on Andrade, breaking his run. In the match, there was also an interesting point made from the commentary, and I never really heard this before, but basically they were saying that Julia Hart had a manager's license, that's why she's allowed to be out here. I'd never really heard that before in wrestling, so this was new to me. There was a "We want tables" chant at one point. The crowd seemed really into this match. There was even a spot where Andrade ran towards Buddy Matthews, tried to dive through the middle rope, and Buddy Matthews was of course standing on a ladder which had been set from the ring apron to the commentary table, and Buddy Matthews caught him and did a DDT. That was a pretty impressive spot. There was another spot where Andrade did a sunset flip from a ladder to Buddy Matthews on the other side of the ring near the entrance ramp, where there was another ladder propped up between the ring apron and the ladder that both men were standing on. This was on the outside of the ring. Towards the end of the match, there was this interesting spot where Julia Hart managed to I forgot who it was it Julia Hart, Buddy Matthews? Anyways, they both kind of worked together to chain Andrade to the turnbuckle, but then as Buddy Matthews was, I think, going to take a steel chair and hit Andrade, he kicked him. Julia then dropped the key, which she was dangling and teasing Andrade. She dropped it on the ring apron. Andrade got that, unlocked himself, ran into the ring. Julia Hart chased him. No, actually, Buddy Matthews first chased him. Andrade put the chain on him, and while Julia Hart and Buddy Matthews are trying to, get Buddy out, even trying to use bolt cutters, Andrade was slowly climbing up the ladder. Eventually, Julia Hart, she ran up and got onto Andrade's back. Buddy Matthews eventually used the bolt cutter and came after Andrade. Finally, when he's standing on top of the ladder, Andrade pushed him down. Then he took Julia Hart and pushed her down too, and she fell into Buddy Matthews, and they both went through a table that had been propped up on one corner of the ring, and then Andrade grabbed the mask and won. So interesting in opening match. Probably a missed opportunity with having some kind of hype leading up to it that would raise the stakes going into the match. We then see Miro attacked backstage by someone with a steel chair. I don't know who that was, but it looked like Eric Andre, the comedian. Of course, it probably was not him. We then had Darby Allin versus Minoru Suzuki. Darby Allin went and attacked him right away as he was getting into the ring while making his entrance. At one point, Suzuki ripped out the band-aid that was around Darby's stomach. Eventually, Allin wins with, in a very technical way where Minoru had got a submission on him, but because Allin had positioned Minoru in such a way that his shoulders were on the mat, the ref counted to 3 and Allin technically won. After the match, Suzuki looked pissed. He was going to get a steel chair. He looks like he couldn't accept the defeat. The ref was like, no, and Suzuki, just left it at that. But then we see Christian Cage and Luchasaurus appear on the screen, and it looks like, I think this match pretty much confirms that Allin will now challenge for the TNT title against Luchasaurus down the line. We then had a match between Samoa Joe and Gravity. Gravity had this weird showmanship where he would try to move slowly when he's not using a move on an opponent, but eventually Joe finished him in quick fashion. That was a short match. Then came one of probably the second favorite part of the night for me. CM Punk came out to the ring. He had that red bag with what we presume is the AEW World title in it. He cut a babyface like promo while Tony Schiavone's interviewing him in the middle of the ring. He even mentions Wembley Stadium for All In and says they've now sold like 80,000 tickets. At one point during the promo, it seems like he kind of turned back to being a heel and even did like a Hulk Hogan ear hearing thing. Finally, he pulled out the AEW World title and took out a black spray paint can and sprayed an X in the middle of the center plate, a giant X, and says he's now the world champion and he's going to be the world champion until someone can beat him for it. Ricky Starks then comes out and pretty much challenges him for the title. Punk accepts and says that this time he wants a special guest referee, and it's Ricky Steamboat. So that match is now for next week. We then get a 6-man tag team match. It's the Bang Bang Gang, which is Juice Robinson and the Gun Club versus Action Andretti, Darius Martin, and El Hijo de Vikingo. And of course, the winners of the match are the Bang Bang Gang. At one point, they even took out a Jay White cutout from under the ring and placed it at ringside. It was kind of funny to see that in the corner during the match, it was just standing there. And then after the match, when they won, they brought the cutout in the ring, and all 4 of them are celebrating together. It was funny because one of them is the cutout. We then had Kiera Hogan versus Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes Martinez wins via submission, but she wasn't letting go after the match. Then Chris Statlander came out and to chase away Mercedes, and while she was checking on Kiera and she had kept her title down, Mercedes took her title and hit Chris Statlander with it. Then Willow Nightingale comes out, and then Mercedes leaves the ring, so it looks like she's going to be a heel going forward. Still a heel, maybe. We then get some hype graphics for AEW Dynamite episode 200 next Wednesday. Some of the matches announced are Chris Jericho and Konosuke Takeshita versus Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia. Jack Perry is going to come face to face with Jerry Lynn. John Moxley is going to face Trent Beretta and Penta El Zero Miedo. We're also going to get an ROH World Tag Team title match on AEW Dynamite, apparently, where it's going to be Aussie Open versus El Hijo del Vikingo and Commander. And finally, Toni Storm defends the AEW Women's World title against Hikaru Shida. Finally, in the main event, it's for the AEW World Tag Team titles. MJF and Adam Cole, they came out with, matching jackets, custom theme music. It was really fun, and they took on FTR. At one point in the match towards the end, FTR were going to hit the Shadow Machine on Adam Cole. MJF selflessly pushed Cole out of the way, and this made FTR kind of use the move on MJF, but he kind of reversed it, but then they eventually got him with a roll-up and pinned him, and that was it. And MJF looked like he was almost crying after the match. Cole shook their hands, FTR's hands, then he gave MJF the world title, and he even turned his back. He's like, hit me, I guess he wanted them to continue their feud. MJF took the belt. It looked like he was going to hit him, but he didn't. He threw the belt down, and the 2-men hugged. And I was just waiting for, someone to turn on the other, whether it be MJF turning on Cole or whether it be Cole turning on MJF. But it didn't happen, and both men just celebrated in the ring. Their friendship prevailed, and I thought that was a beautiful way to end the episode that went beyond traditional professional wrestling booking. So that was really interesting. That's all for AEW Collision. The main event part was my favorite part of the night. The ending, I thought that was a really beautiful and unique way to end the show. Really great to see this side of MJF. Really great to see Adam Cole and MJF are now still going to be friends. And also really excited for next week where CM Punk defends his world title against Ricky Starks. I think Punk is going to win, and at somewhere down the line, we're probably going to get Punk versus MJF to see who's the real champion. MJF will probably be a babyface this time, and Punk will be the heel, so I think this would be a very interesting match.